back to Silicon Dreams, where tech and Web3 are the bread and butter. And today, we're slicing into some rich layers of community building and social impact. I'm your host, Tejaswini Satish, for today, here to decode the dreams and schemes futuring the digital frontier. Joining us is someone who really puts the DAO in Taoism. Ian's name is practically legendary when it comes to the Web3 world and DAOs in specific. A brand and a community builder who's been at the ground level of not one, but two exchanges. He's got his fingerprints all over governance, operations, brand direction for more than 15 networks and DAOs, seamlessly blending consultancy with full throttle community engagement. Since 2022, Ian's focus has taken a bold pivot to social impact. He's been all in on chain based initiatives that have powered causes for Ukraine, women rights in Iran, and other global issues. Most recently, he's been pushing the envelope at Push Protocol, where he's leading the charge on decentralizing its community with a multi year vision that includes scaling DAOs and integrating the grants program under its umbrella as well. Push Protocol is already a comms powerhouse with over 650 integrations and 200 institutional partnerships, redefining how communities in Web3 connect and collaborate. So, without further ado, let's dive into Ian's journey, the bumps and brilliance of building DAOs, and just how he's paving new ways for decentralized communities to thrive. Welcome aboard, Ian.
Thank you. Very glad to be here. Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
It's a pleasure to have you as always. So let's kick things off with the big picture question as always. So, what exactly does Push Protocol do, and how does it really fit into the landscape of decentralized communications?
Yeah, of course. So we power, in the simplest possible sense, all on-chain communications. You've already mentioned that we have over 650 connections plus 200 of those, 200 extra being institutional. Those connections range from customized push notifications on chain for different products and projects and networks to channels for messaging for the same products, projects, or networks in different areas, to things like customized governance updates for DAOs. So, in the simplest possible sense, at Push, we're making sure anyone can message anyone at any time on chain reliably and securely without worrying about, for example, having any of their data exploited or losing access to anything that they're doing. And above it all, we make sure that it's possible in the easiest, most intuitive sense. So we're dedicated to always improving the UX of the whole push experience. But if you want to see the forefront of what social media might look like, what just general connection online might look like, what interaction with your favorite products online might look like in the future, we're the look into that future.
That's really nice. I mean, it is intriguing to consider how Push Protocol addresses the communication challenges within Web3. I mean, in an age where centralized platforms often face criticisms for data privacy violations per se, I mean, when Push is now tapping into a growing demand for a secure, user controlled communication platform, this is something that's really hitting the customer profile of what needs to be done in the future. So let's dive a little bit more into the core of Push DAO. So how would you describe it to someone who's new to the concept? What makes its government governance structure per se unique as compared to traditional organizational structures?
Yeah, that's a great question. So PushDAO, first of all, most fundamentally is the vehicle for the community to really have a say in all things push, to really have a say in the present and future of the ecosystem. Now, how that works out practically is anyone can vote on any proposal that's made in our forum related to the push products and ecosystem. And The DAO also specifically controls the entire ecosystem grants program and all sorts of different marketing and partnership related initiatives at this point. So to me as well, the governance structure or the leadership structure of Push DAO is so different because anyone has a say. Yes, there are measures in place to make sure it really represents the full interest of the community and not just the interest of like one investor or something like that. But uh, anyone can propose anything and then gather support in an open forum. And as long as they have majority support, it passes. So there's all sorts of possibilities there, from updates to the technology through push improvement proposals, some of which have already passed, to just general educational related initiatives being passed that people have ideas about all over the world, to, for example, people applying for grants and then getting the support of the community before they join the grant program. Now, I should also mention that at this point, our DAO is a delegate based DAO. So, in that case, we have 5 delegates that represent the interests of the full community. They were elected via governance. I am one of them because there always needs to be one stakeholder that straddles the line, especially in the early days between the DAO and the foundation or whatever other structure is involved. But most importantly, the other 4 are just community members. They don't work for the foundation, they don't work for any centralized part of Push. They're just community members. And that's a beautiful thing to me because that means 80% of all things of the DAO, aka there's always a majority control just from the community.
That's really nice. So, as we see a lot of traditional organizations grappling with transparency issues like this, the concept of a community driven organization is something that's quite revolutionary and is necessitated by, how the status of society and organizations are as is. So, per se, when I look at the transition of a member to a stakeholder, when you mentioned the delegated DAOs which are there, so, what specific advantages can I look at as being a member of Push Protocol and its community?
Yeah, first of all, what we already mentioned, you get the advantage if you're a member of the community, even if you're not a developer, if you're joining the DAO, you can earn through all sorts of ways to contribute. You earn push and you can stake that push or do whatever else you want with that push. So you're earning in that way. Second, you're earning through learning about the future of leadership of technical products and communities online, because it's that easy to get involved today. You just join the forum, introduce yourself, and we have mentors who guide people to all the paths of contribution within the ecosystem. So you're earning and you're learning through mentorship through people who have been there for a while. And third, it's so early that whoever joins now, this is very unique for any company or any initiative or any open source project. If you join now, you can literally propose a lot about the future of the push and see it happen, the ecosystem, and see it happen in real time. You could think about the next sub DAO. You could think about the next conferences that we get involved in. You could think about the next cohort of grantees. You can make proposals about all of that as long as you garner enough support from the community. So to me, the most beautiful opportunity, the most impactful opportunity for people with push right now is to get into the DAO and really make their voices heard about what they want to see, for example, even beyond crypto, in the future of social and communication online. Because of what we are, you can expect the equivalent of push apps that define that. So if you get in now, you can help define what those apps are, what they look like, how the community supports them.
Got it. So let's touch base back to the part where you said you need to garner the support of the community. So I mean, of course, this reflects something toward a user-centric development that's going to, revolve around the DAO platform. So is there any protocol or like a procedural framework in place to make sure that the platform per se talks about or is a reflection of the community's needs and preferences? So how do you ensure that you garner the support but still keep the core values of push intact? So how is this balance achieved?
There's a couple ways. I'll touch on the two major ways because that's a great question, and it's really important to making sure that an ecosystem becomes DAOified, but achieves its vision. When it's really important to make sure you achieve that balance while you're doing that. So basically, the answer is first, we from the get-go, when we launched the current version of the DAO, unified the key goals and the strategy of the DAO with the key goals and the strategy of push from day one. So we made sure the strategies are unified. They're both going towards, for example, the same mission and vision. Second, at any time, a community member, both on that side and a foundation member, can go into the DAO forum and propose an improvement proposal, a technical improvement proposal called PIPs or push improvement proposals to anything about the technology. So, because that's possible, it means both sides can always propose something they think needs to be fixed with the technology, which is important to allow everyone to be able to do that. But overall, I'll reiterate because that's the key measure that keeps everything going in the right direction. You need to have a unified strategy from day one when you launch a DAO, especially with the protocol. You need to make sure the DAO and the protocol are trying to and always working to achieve the same thing. So, one other quick example of that would be when you launch the manifesto or the constitution or the story of the DAO, the story has to basically be the same as the story of where the protocol came from, just through the lens of community. So instead of just talking about this protocol aims to do this, you're saying this community aims to, for example, facilitate an age in which all communications are on chain and governed by the users.
That's really nice. I mean, in an age where consumer activism is dominating all of the products in a large manner, it's really important to stay true to the essence of the product while also, allowing the consumers to indulge in a little bit of their own ownership to become a part of the product, but not be the product. There's a very thin line of difference, and I guess you've beautifully drawn out that line as well. So let's do like a fun rapid fire questioning round. So I'm gonna tell you a couple topics. So we have three topics, and you could express your opinions either with relation to DAOs or Web3 or anything that comes to your mind. And you can talk about it, say, for 1 or 2 minutes, and then let's just comment on that and then discuss about it. So the first topic is how DAO can be used for social impact initiatives.
Yeah, let's jump right into it. I've done a bunch of DAOs related to social impact, all of which went to varying levels of success, but all of which helped a lot of people. When you're launching any sort of decentralized community or DAO or even NFT community related to social impact, the first thing you need to make sure is that the vision aligns with exactly what kind of impact you want to make. Then you want to make sure you're attaching that to the right potential market. Yes, it's a charitable initiative, but the market in that case are the people who would care about helping you to make that impact. And then finally, I still believe in products or networks or options like Juicebox. So I believe you should still launch such initiatives openly and on chain and give everybody the same chance to make the same level of impact. However, I'll finalize this idea, so to speak, for now with this thought because it's important. With on chain social impact, you probably do need a delegated based DAO once it gets going because you need to make sure the people who are representing the interests of the community are really making sure the right impact gets made, AKA, for example, that the funds get used really the right way.
That's a really thoughtful comment that was made. So let's move on to the next one. Corporate internal governance with DAOs.
Corporate internal governance, that's a good one. Uh, Here's my thought on that. It's pretty simple. Corporations can and will adopt elements of DAOs and make things more flat over time because it's just inevitable to me. However, there will still be plenty of companies that will retain more traditional structures probably forever. So basically, what I think is we're going towards an age in which consumers will have more of a direct say about brands. They'll be able to vote on things like the next fashion line of a fashion brand, the next product that a company like Apple releases, things like that. But at the same time, the corporation will retain control of like what they do with the treasury and things on that side.
Got it. I mean, deviating from the rapid fire a little bit. So, in terms of corporates retaining the traditional structures vis-a-vis shifting to a more decentralized structure of the same, do you think there are certain considerations that the corporates have to make? Like, what are the factors that will help them determine if their organization is more suitable to a decentralized structure as opposed to a traditional structure?
Yeah, a couple of thoughts there. That's a really interesting question. First, you should ask yourself and make sure, is this corporation heavily involved in charity or technical areas, in areas of technology, in the technology industry, for example? Or is it not? If the answer is yes, it's easier to incorporate elements of a DAO in those areas than in other areas. Uh, Other industries are more, as we say, dinosaur industries in America, so it'll be harder for them to incorporate such elements. Also, a thought I have is some corporations will just start with things like loyalty programs where consumers have more direct incentives, not just to vote on things, but the tokens, so to speak, or the points actually become worth something like we do in crypto, or at least like we try to do in crypto. But I see a lot of projects actually making points programs better.
That's really thoughtful. What about artificial intelligence and DAOs?
Couple thoughts there. That's interesting, particularly now, is we're doubling down on that for 2025 through push grants. We believe AI has a very important role to play in the future of DAOs and in crypto and Web3 as a whole. To be more specific about that, think about AI agents incentivizing more participation in voting, or even AI agents acting as delegates because they were trained on the past communications in the DAO, and the rules, so they understand the rules of engagement, like what you can do and what you can't do, and how you can vote and how you can't vote. I think we're a little far away from that, but we'll see more early experiments in that in the next 3 to 5 years, and we'll see that really take shape in 10 years or less as the dominant paradigm. AI agents being basically the main voters in DAOs for people. Another quick thought there. I think AI agents have a really interesting role to play in the future of social media, and we're starting to see early experiments in that. And we're really, for example, one thing that's a double edged sword, we're going to see some interesting content, even more so than today. But we're really going to need more verification systems to make sure what's real and what's not.
Absolutely. We're in the age where laptops ask us to prove if we're humans or not. So I think that's how much
Yes.
technology has advanced right now. So one last fun one. So if the US presidential elections this year had DAOs involved.
Ooh, interesting. If the election had DAOs involved, several things would happen. First, I think the DAOs would end up looking like political super PACs or something like that, like special interest groups, and they would vote obviously for certain candidates, but what they would vote for overall would be the issues they care about the most. So not just charity based DAOs, but any issue they care about, even if it's like a DAO trying to buy a stadium, they would try to find the candidate most likely to make the rules of investing in property freer. And above all, of course, if DAOs were involved in elections, we'd see a really interesting mix in voting. I think voting would shift in very radical ways because we'd see different people in charge of the process.
Absolutely, agree. So before we wrap up, Ian, is there anything exciting on the horizon for Push Protocol that our listeners can look forward to?
Yeah, a lot of things. I'll mention a couple right now. The key things: one, we're drawing closer to our ultimate vision of becoming blockchain of communication, the blockchain of communication. We've always been working towards unifying everything, the entire Web3. So that's a key part of that. Of course, that's our central focus. We're launching nodes soon in that respect, native push nodes. In the new year, you'll start to see native integrations with Solana and other cool chains to expand our chains that we've incorporated. And last but not least, we're doubling down on our grants program in the new year, and we're already taking new applications. And this, people always ask me this, so I'll answer it here. What are you looking for with those new applications? Most centrally, we're looking for people who think beyond opening push channels or just having basic notification systems with us, and think about how they can more deeply involve the push tech stack in the growth and development of their application. So think of the future of social media, the future of all communications on chain, the future of marketplaces, and everything in between. And that'll get you in good stead if you're thinking about the push grants program. But we're open to everyone, and I'm one of the grants evaluators. So to answer what everyone else also usually asks, you can also contact me about things like that.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ian. And there's definitely a lot to look forward to with Push Protocol, and I really can't wait to see how it all unfolds. And thank you once again for joining us today and providing us with such rich insights into the world of DAOs and decentralized communication. And to our listeners, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Silicon Dreams. Make sure to keep an eye on Push Protocol for all their exciting updates. And don't forget to tune in next week on our upcoming episodes as well. Until next time, stay curious and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Thank you.
Thank you.